All right, hello everyone. Welcome back. So as the title suggests, today we're going to be working on the second boss for the dungeon level in Gunforged. And this boss is going to be called Lowrider Spider. So it's going to be a spider that's in a lowrider, which is basically just a car that's been lowered to be extremely close to the ground. So that's going to be fun, and there's going to be all kinds of interesting moves that the boss can do. And of course, as soon as I start streaming, the cat is going insane now. So, but before we get into starting out this boss, I want to mention that I'm trying to make it as a full-time indie game developer and Udemy course instructor. So if you like this content and if you want to support my work, you could check out my Udemy courses. The links for those are in the description below. Purchasing one of those courses is a great way to support me, but also, of course, you get a course out of it where I teach you how to make a complete game in the Godot engine. The most recent course shows you how to do that in C#, and the other two courses are in GDScript. So if that sounds interesting to you, please check that out. It helps me out a lot, and I think it's a great learning resource for you. All right, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into it. Hello, Emerson. Welcome back. Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. All right. Let me just try to get comfortable here. All right. So, Lowrider Spider. So I'm going to probably not do any art this stream. I think what I'm going to do is just white box the boss and sort of get it working the way that I want it to work. And so for that, I'm going to check out my Rat King here and basically just model what I need to do after the Rat King. So let's go ahead and create a new scene. My cat is just going absolutely crazy right now. He's just won't stop meowing. It's very distracting. Lowrider Spider. So does this go into the Rat King? Yeah, or where the Rat King is? Yeah, so we'll do that. So there's our Lowrider Spider. This needs to be set to floating. I believe the collision needs to be set to 1 and 5 in the mask, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we got those things in place. Now, how big do I want to make this Lowrider Spider? Let's see. Configure snap 32. So this boss is about 48 by 48. So let's try this. Let's do a new placeholder texture here. Let's make it 48 wide and 32 tall. That's probably too small. Yeah, that's probably a little bit too small. I'll have to judge it when I get into the game, but we'll start with that, I suppose. We're gonna make this not centered. So again, he's gonna be like in a little vehicle, in a little car. So kind of make a rectangle sort of box to start, and then we'll see how that works in terms of the white boxing. We need a velocity component. Let's just get all these things instantiated. Health component. Pathfind component. Okay. default hit audio component. I'll need all that as well. Whoops. I still have to do tons of sound effects work. There's a lot to get done in this game. Still. But we'll get it done. This guy's gonna have a relatively large shadow here. So we'll just get that in place. Put the sprite down here. Perfect. Okay. Hurtbox component. So we're just setting up all this boilerplate basically. So we need a collision shape 2D. New rectangle shape. .48 and 32, we'll just make it match there. Okay, so we're on our way. Hello, Rin. I am well, thank you. How are you doing? Just released 1.0.17 beta of my project in GitHub yesterday. Nice. What is your project? Maybe you've mentioned it before and I just don't remember it. Always functionality first. Yeah, I like to do art sometimes first too, but I want to see the art is going to be relatively complex for this boss, I think. And so I just want to see how the boss shapes up before I dedicate time to that. Hello, Djame. I hope I said that correctly. I'll call you Nito just for short. Having fun over here? Yeah, we're doing good. So we're making a boss called Lowrider Spider. It's going to be a spider that's driving a lowrider, which is just like a car that's been lowered to the ground. You know, you kind of see that in movies sometimes. And yeah, that's basically the boss. I don't really have much of a concept beyond that. I think maybe I have a couple of moves that the boss can do in mind, but yeah. Hi, thank you, Rin. Very much appreciate that super chat. That's great. Thank you. You're very generous. I appreciate that. Yep. Yep, that will definitely go to the coffee budget. All right, so it's actually what I'm drinking right now. Got my morning coffee. Anyone else got their morning coffee, hanging out, chilling, working on your projects? Well, I guess it's not morning for a lot of you, but there's nothing wrong with an evening coffee either. So, yeah, so let's see. I gotta hook up a lot of this stuff here. That does barely works. Okay. Pathfind component. Okay. So I need to add a collision shape here now for the actual character body 2D. And then we'll just take this and we'll move it up like so. That should do. I almost always use circles for my character body 2D collisions because when you're pathfinding, circles just have a tendency to not get caught on edges as much. Like if you had a square and you're trying to pathfind around some terrain or a tile or whatever that has a square collision shape, there's a tendency that the edges will get like caught on each other like this, right? But if you've got a circle, it kind of like rounds around it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I find that there's fewer pathfinding issues if you use circles for your character body 2D collision shapes. Now for platformers, it might be a different story. You might want to use a rectangular shape, but that's a different perspective, right? That's a side scroller kind of deal rather than a top down. So your pathfinding is going to be different in that scenario anyway. Morning and having coffee, excellent. Working at work, but got my coffee, so not bad. Yeah, it's amazing that a little hot beverage like coffee can actually make a huge difference in the day. Oh, okay, so you're only an hour ahead of me, Emerson. Always having coffee, yep. Thank you, Ariane. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for that. 1090, I believe that's the Brazilian real, right? I very much appreciate that. Thank you for your generosity. Okay, so let's start scripting something out here now. So we've got the lowrider spider. Scripts. Okay, create. I'm gonna also pull up my Rat King here, just so that I have something to reference. So we need to set up a state machine. So let's go ahead and do that. I don't know why I'm making that public. Delegate state machine. We'll just call it state machine. All right, and we're gonna start by making the normal state first. So private void state normal. State machine dot add states. State normal. Set initial state normal. Let me realign myself here. There we go. All right. So the state normal, what needs to happen in here is we got to do a couple of things. So we want to get a reference to the player. I want to call follow player. What does that look like? Oh, goodness. I want to do a little bit more of a complicated move set with this lowrider spider. But let's get a let's just start basic first. Okay, so I think I need a reference to the pathfind component. Set target position player.global position. So we're going to set the target position in the pathfind component, and the pathfind component is responsible for creating the pathfinding in the level. And then we'll get a reference to the velocity component. And in the update method, or rather process, in here, what we're going to do is call velocity component dot move this. And then we also need to do state machine dot update. So those are the two things we need in the process method. Okay, and what else? Okay, I think that's fine. So what I want to do with this velocity component is I want an actually very low acceleration of coefficient. I kind of want this boss, the lowrider spider, to kind of slip and slide around the level. Because you imagine a car that's like spinning its tires, right? It's going to kind of like whip around a bunch, and it's going to be slow to accelerate. So it's going to accelerate up to a good speed, and then it's going to change directions and slow down and whatnot. So I want to try to replicate that with this boss. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a high max speed so that it's actually very quick, but then the acceleration coefficient is going to be low, which means that it's going to take a while for it to get up to that max speed. I believe this is also going to affect its ability to turn effectively, so we're going to see what that looks like. I think that maybe is it. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and I guess we'll just go into the game and see if we can spawn it, and we'll see what happens. Lowrider Spider sounds legit. Yeah, I'm hoping it'll be really funny, really entertaining, and also really fun to battle. Okay, there's the Lowrider Spider, and of course there's a ton of errors here. So let's take a look at what the error is. Oh, right, I need to assign that. It's a challenge, right? You know, the write the script correctly the first time challenge, impossible, you know? Doesn't matter how good you are at engineering, it's like there's always one thing that's going to be wrong. Okay, so I think I might even turn that acceleration coefficient even lower. But do you see how it's a little bit floaty and it takes a while for it to change direction and accelerate up to full speed? That's pretty much exactly what I'm going for. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to reduce that acceleration coefficient even more and then turn up the max speed even more. So we get this kind of like yo-yo thing happening, but that's fine because we're not going to... The boss is not just going to be following the player the whole time. Okay, we want to give this a pretty large max health as well. So we'll do 2,500, which is 1,000 more than the Rat King. So this boss is going to be tougher, but this boss is also going to be the second boss, so you should be plenty strong by the time you fight this boss. Okay, so in order to adequately test this, I actually do need to go to the dungeon arena here and just turn on debug mode here. And dungeon level. I think I should be able to just run the game from here, so we can skip all that hub stuff. Looks like my debug settings didn't take effect. Oh, it was already on debug mode. I must have unchecked it. Oops. My project is a virtual retro homebrew, completely programmable computer. Interesting. That sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like it's very difficult. Are you, you seem to be enjoying it though, right? What was the reason why you decided to work on that project? Is it just for fun, or is it solving some sort of need that you had? Okay, there's my Lowrider Spider. So yeah, so you can imagine like a little vehicle coming around. I might even up the acceleration, or not the acceleration, the speed even more than that, because it's going to be easy to dodge, so the speed is not necessarily a problem. turn it up to 300. Ooh, yeah, that guy's really fast. Look at him. So yeah, you can definitely, I think, imagine this being a vehicle of some kind. Okay, so one of the first attacks that I want to try, and I'm not entirely sure how well this is going to work, but I wanted to make him shoot like a flamethrower, like have flames coming out both ends, and then for him to like spin around. Although that's not, I don't know if that's going to work necessarily with the theme that I've got going on, because all of the enemy projectiles are like red. I suppose I could do like, yeah, red flames. Yeah, let's try it. Let's give it a shot. We'll see what we're doing as we get into it. For fun, I love assembly and retro computers and not having the space or resources to build something physical. I see, gotcha. That's cool. All right, let's see if we can get the first attack in place here. Call this flame attack timer, I suppose. Min wait time. Okay, so let's grab a reference to that. I'm just looking at my Rat King here to see how this works. These are one shot and auto start. Okay. Let's add a couple of new states. Enter state normal. So we're going to add a state flame attack. So let's do this. Okay. I think I might need a leave state flame attack as well. Oops. There we go, that's a little bit better. All right, leave state flame attack. So we've got that. And now what I need to do is basically I need to slow the Lowrider spider down when entering this state, but first we need to handle this flame attack timer timing out. And so the way that I do that is just if flame attack timer dot is stopped, then we're going to do state machine dot change state to state flame attack. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what we're going to want to do is we're going to do velocity component dot decelerate, accelerate to velocity, acceleration coefficient multiplier. So I want to probably change that acceleration coefficient multiplier. So velocity component dot acceleration coefficient multiplier. What is this? Oh, I see. We're going to multiply this so that we can decelerate a lot quicker. And then we'll set that back after we leave the flame attack state. And then that decelerate is going to happen. And then we need to like rotate or something. Let's create a tween for that. I have no clue how this is going to work with the perspective. We need to center this though for sure. Now let's move this back up. So I want to create a tween that rotates that sprite, I think. Do I want to do a tween or do I just want to... Should I just use an animation player? No, I want to do a tween because I want it to start with the rotation that it currently has. Yeah, I think that'll work. Yeah, this might end up being quite messy. But you know what they say. YOLO is what they say, so that's what we're going to do. So grab a reference to that sprite. Tween the sprite 2D, we're going to tween the rotation degrees. Final value. We'll do 720. Let's do transition type Quint, maybe? Ease type out? I don't know. We will see how that looks. And then when this tween is done, we're going to tween, or we're going to change the state machine dot change state back to state and normal. And then when we leave the state flame attack timer dot call start random. We'll also do a leave state normal state here. And what we'll do with this leave state is we'll say if not flame attack timer dot is stopped, flame attack timer dot paused equals true. So we're basically just setting basically we're gonna have multiple timers for all the different attacks, and we'll just pause all the timers that are still running when we change states out of state normal. So basically, if I've got 3 different attacks and the flame attack timer times out, we're going to change to that flame attack state, but then we're going to pause the other attack timers and then resume them when we go back to state normal. So that way we get a nice sort of transition through all of the abilities. Excuse me. I hope Godot 4.4 comes out soon. Looks like there's extra cool features this time. There's a weird audio memory leak bug on web. I'd love to have fixed. Yeah, I'm waiting for Godot 4.4 as well. I think there's some nice things in there that I'm looking forward to. Okay, so we got the flame attack and we've got a tween set up. And I guess let's just go ahead and see what that looks like. I've got it set up to be between 3 and 5 seconds. So let's see what happens. It's probably going to look really ugly, but we're just iteratively working on this. Mac native metal rendering support. Ooh, there's the spin. Okay, I've got the transition wrong. Also, it never changed back. That's because I never did the leave state flame attack, I think. This needs to be a type of in here. Actually, maybe we do 1720. I'm not sure, actually. Yeah, we'll figure out the tween. Why did it not go back to the state normal? Well, let's just see what happens. Gotta get this lowrider spider working. Gotta get some flames coming out. Oops, that's not correct. Oh, well, he left his, Interesting. So this sprite 2D rotation degrees needs to be reset, I think. So this needs to be dot from 0. So basically reset that rotation. Reset the sprite rotation there. Is this going to work? I think this will work. Yeah, that's pretty dope. So yeah, so the lowrider spider was going to come to a halt, quickly spin up, shoot some flames out, and then come on back. Nice. So that's probably too much of a rotation though. For some reason that doesn't look quite right. Why doesn't that look quite right? Maybe if I upped the time here. I'll add some flames, particles, and whatnot, just to get a better feel for what's going on. Because what I want to happen ideally is that you can dodge it by just walking around. You know, like this. But that might even be too fast. So maybe if we turn down 3, and instead of doing quint, what if we did quart? Maybe that'll reduce it. Regardless, I will stop playing with tween and get some flames in there to actually see what's going on. Okay, that tween is probably still not good, but as promised, let's go ahead and create a new scene here. Lowrider flames, I guess we'll call it. Attack, we'll save it in there. So we want a couple of things to go on here. We want GPU particles 2D, and then we also want a hitbox component that can damage the player. So, all right, one thing at a time here. Let's create new particle process material. Particles animation, texture, particles there. All right. Excited about the new game preview window and the editor buttons for custom tools. Oh yeah. Yeah, the tool script buttons are going to be nice as well. I don't know about the game preview window. I don't think I heard about that. So these flames, we need to turn off the gravity for them. Or if anything, they need to go up a little bit. Ideally, I need to make this, so I actually need to figure out how big I want this to be. So we're going to create a new rectangle shape for the collision here. And let's make the Y. Is that going to be too much? 32. that seems right to me. So there's our hitbox component. The GPU particles needs to have an emission shape, a box. There we go. So we've got a better emission shape now. All right, we need to figure out some colors here too. So I've got enemy bullet. What's going on here? Material light unshaded. Additive light 2D. Okay, so can I just add this here then? Trying to just make it match the colors of the enemy bullet. So we're using white and then like a pink and then a red. So let's do that for the flames as well. So for the GPU particles, we need to go to the display section, color curves, color initial ramp, new gradient texture, add 3 colors here, change the interpolation to constant, and then let's find those colors. So swatches, I believe that was one of the colors, right? And then was it this red? Yeah, there we go. Okay. This is going to look a lot better when we add a couple of other things too. So scale curve, new curve texture. Something like that. We also want to turn off the interpolation. That looks much better. Okay. So this still doesn't look terribly good, but the idea is that as it moves, it's gonna emit, and we can change the lifetime here to something more aggressive. Okay, and then let's do a couple of other things. Give it a random angle. That's probably too much. Does this need some kind of initial velocity too? The thing that I'm not sure of is that this is going to be moving, so maybe I'll just start implementing it into the spider and see what this actually looks like. I'm just trying to figure out which layer I'm supposed to use here for the flames. Player feet. Okay, I think, yeah, just player. Okay. So the lowrider flames collision mask is gonna hit the player there. All right, well, let's see how terrible this looks when we put it in the game. So this flame attack, basically what needs to happen is I need... Let's add a marker 2D on the right-hand side. Left flame marker on the left-hand side. So grab a reference to both of those markers. And then we also need to get a reference or to load the lowrider flames. Okay, so we've got the lowrider flames in the resource preloader. Let's get a reference to that resource preloader. Okay. Hello, Thiger. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. All right, so during this flame attack, what needs to happen? What needs to happen? So we'll grab a flame interval timer. We'll start the flame interval timer when we enter the state, and then we'll stop the flame interval timer when we leave the state. In-state flame attack here. If flame interval timer dot is stopped, or no, that's not going to work, is it? I have to turn this to one shot. For each var marker in new marker 2D. I don't know, this is kind of a hack, but if it works, right? Okay, so we're gonna iterate over each of those left and right markers. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna say var direction is equal to left flame marker dot global position minus sprite 2D dot global position. We're gonna have to normalize that. Oh, you know what? That's actually wrong. Marker.global position, there we go. Var flames is equal to, what are we doing with the flames here? Resource preloader, instance scene or null. Gonna need to add a script to this. We'll just leave that as is for now. So we're instantiating those flames there. We're going to say base level dot foreground dot add child flames. Do we want to add it to the foreground? Or to entities? We'll add it to entities, I suppose. Flames.global position is equal to marker.global position. Let's create a method in here, public void start. And what we're going to do is we're going to accept a direction. So we'll get that direction in there. Let's also do a speed. Set it to 100. So we'll just increase the global position based on the direction. Like so. And then we'll just do that. Flames.start direction. All right, so that should happen 5 times a second. I have no clue if that's going to work or how it's going to look, but let's take a gander. See what this does. Ah. So let's go ahead and add that lowrider spider. Ooh. Ooh, okay. It's not damaging me at all. Okay, there's a couple of things. It's not damaging me at all, which is like problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that it doesn't look very good. Play with the scale a little bit. Probably just need to increase the amount as well. Increase the amount, probably decrease the lifetime a bit. Now, why isn't this damaging me? That's very concerning. Does it need to be on a layer, I guess? Oh, it probably needs to be on a layer. All right, let's give that a shot. Looks cool though. Thanks. Yeah, we got to do some we got to do some improvements there to the visuals a little bit, but I think it's getting there. It's getting there. Let's see what this looks like. It's still not damaging me. Why aren't you damaging me? I want to be killed. What does the public override void notification function do so I can follow the code better? So yeah, basically what this does is this notification receives a bunch of notifications that Godot emits in integers here. And if the notification is that the scene was instantiated, meaning that it's been created. I call this wire nodes, which is a generated method from my source generators that I wrote that basically looks at any member that has the node attribute here, and then it tries to match, or it tries to assign a node value to the member based on the member name. So it's going to, for instance, in this case, it's going to look for a node called velocity component and then assign it to this velocity component member when wire nodes is called. So it's just it's a better way of getting all the references you need for your script. And because it's happening on instantiation, I basically don't have to worry about order of operations issues where, typically you fetch your nodes in the ready method, but sometimes you want to reference a node before ready has been called. And so if you wire up your nodes in the instantiated notification here, then you'll have it basically as soon as you create the scene. So as soon as you call pack scene.instantiate, your node references are going to be available immediately after that. So more orange in the fire. The problem is I need to match the style of the other enemy attacks. That's the big issue, is that I can't just start using different colors because that's going to potentially throw off the player if I'm using a certain visual style for all of the damaging attacks, and then all of a sudden that's different for the boss, But I may have to do something like that. Hello, Coffee Crow. Welcome. I'm doing all right. How are you? Yeah, the game is going well. Kind of in crunch time here. We're in the home stretch. Got a couple of months left before I want to release the game, so we'll see how we do, but it's going great. Hello, Soulfire. I got your C# course yesterday. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Let me know how you like it as you get into it. Was the layer 4 for enemies? Yeah, all my layers are kind of like messed up because Godot 4 switched how the layer collision masks work. But I started this in Godot 3, so like my layer logic is all messed up. It's fine. But let's figure out why this isn't attacking me or why this isn't hitting me. Halfway through the C# course. It is worth the buy. Thank you. I'm still in the middle of it. I'm still in the middle on if I like using C# or GDScript though. Yeah, I think that's it's probably right. I mean, I think it mostly comes down to personal preference. Like there's no like clear objective reason why you should use C# over GDScript. I think it's mostly a matter of personal preference. Why isn't that hitting me? I don't understand. How does the enemy system work, and is the bosses are coded in the same class with normal enemies or not? No, I'm not using inheritance for any of my entities. I'm using composition for my entities, so that means that I can write a unique script for every enemy and just reuse the modular components. So if you look at my lowrider spider, just to point out a couple of things, so I've got like a health component, a pathfind component, velocity component, those kinds of things. So those are like my modular pieces of reusable functionality. And then when I go to create a new entity, I basically pull in all of those components as I need them. and then I end up with a script. So like on my lowrider spider, my script doesn't extend any sort of entity class. It just extends the Godot character body 2D because it has to in order to be attached to the root node there. And then, but then my script for my entities basically just ends up being the state machine. So essentially what I'm doing for all of my entity scripts is I'm just writing the unique state machine for them, which would be really difficult to do with inheritance anyway. So that's kind of the system that I've got working here. And it's working pretty good. It allows me to quickly create entities. I don't have to worry about, you know, making a change in a base class that negatively affects an entity somewhere. So yeah, there's no inheritance going on here. Welcome to the stream also, by the way, Ahmed. Good to see you. Yeah, I think the reason I did a puzzle game for that course is so that I could show a very robust usage of link and that kind of thing. Because I think that's where C# with Godot really shines, is when you want to use or make heavy use of data structures that are a little bit more complex. And you wouldn't necessarily be doing that kind of thing in like a platformer. So I know puzzle games aren't most people's cup of tea, but with the grid-based sort of puzzle, you can make use of the features that I wanted to showcase. So I love using components. Thanks for teaching us about this in your courses. You're welcome. You're welcome, Drew. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So for anyone watching the VOD or anyone watching live right now, you heard it. There's the testimonials. People love the courses. So if you want to support my work and you want to learn how to make games in Godot yourself, please check out the links in the description below. All my courses are linked there. And thank you everyone for the kind words. I'm super happy to hear that everyone's really enjoying the courses. So makes me feel good. All right, with that out of the way, I need to figure out why in the world my lowrider flames are not damaging me. I would love to know why that's happening. What if I turn the mask and the layer on at the same time? Actually, I wonder. Yeah, I'm actually somewhat baffled here. But let's go ahead and try it out. Yeah, that's correct, Jesse. Yeah. Can't do web builds in C# in Godot 4 anyway. You know what? I wonder if I'm not taking damage because... I wonder if this is just a really dumb issue. Debug mode. Am I taking damage from anything? Let's see, hold on. Okay, I am. I'm just going to see where this is used. So it's used in the maggot here. It's only set to the player layer. It's got is long-lived checked. That's the only difference. I'm kind of concerned about that. Ooh, okay, that's a problem. Okay, so this is long-lived is being a problem here. So I actually might have a bug in here that I need to fix. Why would that be happening? Huh, I actually don't know why that's happening. It doesn't seem like there should be an issue here. But of course there is, so we gotta figure that out. I always like to write up big messages, but wonder if it actually ruins your flow while working. But I guess engagement on live stream should be a good thing as expected. Also the character limit. No, you should feel free to write. If you're talking about chat messages, right away. I may not get to your comment for a little bit, especially if I'm sort of in like a rabbit hole working on the code, but yeah, the live stream engagement is fun. That's why I do this. So is it adding it to the ignored list too quickly? Well, that's a good question. Well, what should be happening is that I've got this is long-lived export variable here, and when that's checked, oh, maybe you're onto something here. So if this is not long-lived, that means it's going to be added to the ignored set. Okay, so it's saying if hitbox component is hurtbox ignored, register hurtbox hit. Okay. Yeah, it shouldn't be added to the ignored set. Yeah, it shouldn't be added to the ignored set until this is called. On area entered. Is hurtbox ignored? So that should be false here, because it's going to say, it's going to default to false. And then once it gets past those checks, it's going to go to register hurtbox, hit, if it's not long-lived, which this one is not, then it's going to add the hurtbox to the ignored set. And then it's going to emit the signal, hit hurtbox. And then in the player, maybe that's my problem. Let's see what the player is doing here. in my hit hurt box. Hit by hitbox component. Let's try debugging. I don't think it's even getting to this here, but I'm just going to validate that. There's definitely something happening in there. Is damage set, or does 0 damage also register? That's a good question. When are you going to do another game jam? When is the next one? I have to focus on getting Gunforged done, so probably no game jams until Gunforged is released. But after Gunforged is released, potentially. Oh, it is getting in here. Why is my invulnerability count 1? Add invulnerability. Where is this? Why is my invulnerability count already 1? Oops, I pressed the wrong button. Wait, something's really funky here. So it is being hit by the hitbox. I'm lost. I'm lost. Why is my invulnerability count 1? What? So basically what's happening is it thinks the player is invulnerable. But why? Oh. Pain. So I made a change a while ago where if you're in the middle of like a wave here. So let's see, let's just stop that. So if you're in between waves, it actually makes you invulnerable. And the reason is because, well, I don't want the player to die after they finish a wave. So basically what that protects against is like if you kill the last enemy, you won't take damage after that. So when I'm in this state right here where I can choose my upgrades and everything, I'm invulnerable to all damage. So there's actually nothing wrong here. I just forgot about that. So wow, that was quite a tangent. But if I were to, let's say, end the wave, I should now be able to take damage, yeah. So there was nothing wrong with my hitboxes at all. Feels bad, man. Okay, well, we'll just keep that in mind. Okay, anyway. Me hungry for Gunforged. Yeah, me too. I'm ready for Gunforged to be over. Doesn't mean I'm going to rush it, but it does mean that I'm ready to do some other ideas that I have. Yesterday, I remember it being something directly in Godot. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Are you referring to the hitbox issues? You sure you want that? The player could just bum rush the last enemy and then become immune from its attacks if it kills it. Yeah, I think that's fine, honestly. You know, the game is, while the wave is running, it's going to be plenty difficult. So I think just giving that player that little bit of grace if they decide to go bum rush the enemy, as you say, it's going to be fine. Looking forward to play it on Switch. Well, the unfortunate thing is I'm not going to have controller support at release, so it probably will not be, it won't be playable on the Switch. Well, there's the Nintendo Switch, and then there's the Steam Deck. So it won't be available on handheld consoles immediately, but that could change if I can, if the game does well and I put the time into it. The player was also invulnerable yesterday. Yeah, I remember that, yeah. Hello, Garlic. Finally was able to catch you live. Hope you had a wonderful day. Or hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you. You as well. What was the hardest system you made in Gunforged? Honestly, like all the weapon part systems are probably the most complex, because making sure that it works correctly with no bugs and that all of the numbers are calculated correctly with the affixes and as well as the gun parts, but also making sure that the UI displays and reflects the stats accurately to the player is also very difficult. So that was the biggest challenge, probably. Hello, see ya, Dev. Welcome. Good to see you. All right, let's try the lowrider spider here. Yeah, those flames still look pretty bad. I'm gonna have to figure out what to do about those bad looking flames. But let's not worry about the visuals anymore for now. These need to have a lifetime. So we'll give these a lifetime of like 3 seconds. So we'll hook into that timeout signal. And what do we want to do in here? We want to turn the particles. Just going to rename this to particles. Set the particles to not emit anymore. Particles dot emitting equals false. And we'll do this. Get tree dot create timer. And we'll just free it after a second there. It wants me to use the expression body, I guess. There we go. Oh, I also need to probably disable the hitbox component. disable that. Okay. All right, let's see how that looks. Oh, pain, yeah. Green gas, no. Oh, you mean for the visuals for the boss here? Maybe they'd look better orangish, yellowish, yeah. I just don't want to, like I mentioned earlier, I don't want to deviate from the sort of visual language that I'm using already for enemy attacks. All the enemy attacks use that kind of color scheme, so I don't want to introduce a new color scheme for damaging. But I might have to do that. I'm trying to make footstep sounds in my game when you're on the ground and moving. It plays, but it's only playing once. Why? That's a good question. Well, have you verified that you're trying to play it multiple times? Like, maybe put a print statement right next to where you're trying to play the sound. And if that print statement is not firing multiple times, then you know that you're actually not calling the footstep sound multiple times. So I would start there and see if that works, and then we can go from there. I just recently learned about events and delegates in C#. Any other important advanced topics? I think link is a good one. Advanced topics. You could look into like what's the word, like destructors, disposables for implementing your own cleanup code, which is kind of useful in Godot. It can be, at least. You don't have to use it all the time, but for instance, I have a pool, a scene pool here. And what this does is this stores nodes that I can recycle and reinsert into the tree. But if the scene pool, if I want to dispose the scene pool, which, am I ever calling this anywhere? Yeah, so I can call dispose on the scene pool. And what that will do is that will free all of the nodes that are inside of the available objects here, because those won't be automatically cleaned up by the C# garbage collector. So that's one case where it's useful to know like how to use like iDisposable and everything. But that's about it, yeah. Is dependency injection advanced? I guess you could say that's advanced, yeah. Although I don't know how that would work necessarily in Godot. So yeah, I don't know if that would be relevant, but... So it's like an in-engine garbage collector. Well, not necessarily, it's just... The thing about C# with Godot is that the C# garbage collector does not run against Godot nodes. So, like, if you just... Let's say you lose all references to a node... That node will not be freed. It will just remain as an orphaned node that is just taking up memory and is never freed, even though there's no references to it anymore. And if you are managing something like what I just showed, the scene pool, where I'm essentially storing a bunch of orphaned nodes that can then be re-added to the tree at a later time, if I were to just free that scene pool, or that scene pool were to be garbage collected, all of those orphan nodes would remain. So I do have to manually do some work to make sure that I free those orphan nodes when I'm done with them, because Godot does not detect that those nodes should be cleaned up, if that makes sense. Free the orphans, yeah. That's funny. Yeah, orphan node does not necessarily mean that there's a memory leak, because there are situations where you want to intentionally have orphan nodes. Anytime you remove a node from the tree, it becomes an orphan node, but you still may have a reference to it because you intend to add it back later. But if there are no references to a node that is also not in the tree, then that's basically a memory leak, because you have no way of getting back to that node to free it, right? I've been assuming that Godot take care of that automatically. Yeah, C#, as far as like C# interaction with the Godot nodes, none of the standard like C# garbage disposal things apply to Godot nodes, which is why you still have to manually free your nodes in your C# scripts, because just because all the references go away doesn't mean the node should be freed. Attribution partial, yeah. Partial class, yeah, because Godot 4 now uses source generators for C#, and I guess the easy way to make all of the extra stuff work is to do partial classes, because then all those partial classes kind of get, my understanding is they kind of get just like meshed together into a single class, and so that's why you have to use the partial keyword everywhere, because Godot will generate like, I actually wonder if I could show this right now. Yeah, so here, so if I reference signal name, this is a generated class that exists as a subclass within my lowrider flames here. And so this is adding a class called signal name into my lowrider flames class, which is also marked as partial. And since this is also marked as partial, what essentially happens is that those two things get combined together into one single class name. So that's why the partial keyword is used. Yeah, basically a way to split up a class into multiple files. Exactly, yeah. Fun fact, if you play a bunch of audio streams in a row on a web browser, it will crash because the memory leaks steal all of the available memory. That's fun. That's really fun. Okay. Okay, so what am I doing? Oh, right, I was going to make sure that this, the flames go away. That additive light is looking awkward as well, isn't it? Should I change the scale of this? That's probably going to look better, but I do need to hide that. Hello, Christopher. Can I ask how you keep motivated with development? I often get analysis paralysis and just stop, then pick back up a month later not knowing what to do. Yeah, so I have a couple of things. Maybe I'll make a video on this, because this is one of my favorite questions to ask or to answer. So my opinion is that if you're looking for motivation, that's not going to be the thing that keeps you working. Motivation is something that comes and goes as you have fun or not have fun working on your project. So I think once you start framing it as I need the motivation to do it, you're automatically fighting a losing battle. What you need is you need discipline. Discipline being you need to work on your game in regular intervals, regardless if you're having fun at that moment or not. Because there are going to be parts of your game that just feel like a slog and that are not fun to do, and you have to do them anyway. So motivation is not going to get you through that. Discipline is. And then the motivation will come and go. You'll find there will be parts of your game where it's just like you want to work on it, you can't wait to get home and work on it. And there are going to be parts where it's like, oh, I really don't want to do this. So I think that would be my first thing I would say about that. But then in terms of analysis paralysis, I think that what you have to do is you just have to get something working. So what I'm doing here is like, I don't really know where this lowrider spider boss is going. I don't really know exactly what the art's going to look like, but I'm just building stuff anyway. And I'm iterating on it and I'm seeing, how does it feel? How does it look? Do I actually like this flamethrower attack? Do I want to change it? I'm thinking right now, maybe I'll just change it to shoot normal bullets instead, because it's going to be easier. It's going to be thematically consistent. It's not going to look as ugly as this, right? And so I'm thinking about these things, and it's like, if I tried to plan all of that out beforehand, I would end up, like you said, in that analysis paralysis. So I would say just start with something. Like what you write in that moment doesn't necessarily have to be what remains after you're done with it. You may start writing something and say, oh, yep, I really don't like the direction this is going. And then you just stop and you change directions. Or you may say, actually, this is turning out much better than I thought it was going to. And then that gives you something to build on top of, right? But yeah, when you're starting with a blank canvas, my opinion is the best thing to do is just to put something on the canvas. It doesn't necessarily matter what it is. Obviously, you want to try to make it directionally go in the direction that you want your game to go, but you don't need to have it all planned out ahead of time. You just need to start working. So I hope that helps. That's kind of the advice that I would give, and that's for that question. If the boss is a spider, why not replace flames with poison? For the reason I mentioned earlier, which is that there's sort of a unified visual language for what enemy attacks look like, and I can't really make a poison that looks the same as all the other enemy attacks, so I kind of have to stick with what I'm using. Using Git helps a lot yeah. Kind of applies to all things in life rather than just dev. Yeah. I mean, my opinion is that anything worth doing is going to have moments where it's like terrible to work on, but you just kind of have to work through it. Hello, friends. Welcome to the stream. Atomic Habits, great book about this discipline stuff. Yeah, I've heard that is a great book as well. Haven't personally read it, but a lot of people said it's got great advice in there. Do you have a custom despawn animation for the flames, or is that how the GPU particles despawn by default? Yeah, so with particles, obviously if you free them while the particle system is running, then they'll just blink out of existence. So what you want to do with particles is you want to stop them from emitting for a couple of seconds first before you free them. And that can be really annoying, but that's what I do. So I just let the particle system finish by stopping the emission. So it just stops emitting new particles. The existing particles will gradually exceed their lifetime and disappear. And then once all of them have disappeared, then I free the node. So that's how I do it. I think it helps having a habit of working on a project built up. Also mixing in at least a bit of time to work on something you're excited about every day. Yeah, and when I say discipline, it's like you can definitely start with just like commit to working on your project for 15 minutes a day. So it's like if all you can stomach is 15 minutes of like slogging through your project, that's fine. You don't need to, I'm not saying you need to like force yourself to sit there for 8 hours and work on it, but to build up that habit, you do need to do it on regular intervals and hold yourself to it. Because the big thing is learning how to hold yourself to a work schedule even when you don't want to do it. It doesn't necessarily matter how long you're working. It just matters that you kind of get over that mental barrier of like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm looking to start my journey in game dev also, not make money, but just as a hobby. Do you think with your C# course I could get the basic knowledge to build an action RPG? Well, the C# course is that's a puzzle game, so you're probably not going to learn a whole lot about making an action RPG from that. I would encourage you to look either into my GD script course, the Survivors course, which is up your alley a little bit more, or I think, is it Heartbeast? Heartbeast has a free course on YouTube that shows you how to make an action RPG specifically. So I would look into that as well. So those are the options that I would encourage you to look into. You're welcome, Christopher. Yeah, I'm glad that helps. Those GPU animations reminds me of my boss. Oh yeah? What's your boss doing? Specific time every day too. I strictly work on game design at 5 a.m. before my full-time job, less distractions that way. Yeah, if you can find a time where you're most productive, that certainly helps quite a bit as well. All right, unfortunately, I do think that I'm going to not do the flamethrower style. I think I'm just going to cheap out and just do bullets. Sorry, everyone. We're not doing flames anymore. We're just going to do bullets. Now I got to figure out how that actually works. Or I wonder if I could do... I could probably at least do a different shape of the bullet. But let's just try it with the normal bullets first. But I actually don't know how I'm going to do that. Okay. I think I know how to do this. Let's see how it works with just normal bullets. So I'll make it the same as the flames here. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Might have to play with the numbers a little bit, but I just want to see if that works any better. Hello, John. I have a game I'm working on, and I'm currently working on the systems I want in the game. I've never made a game before, and working on making systems is quite difficult. Yes, yeah, it can be. Yeah, it can be very difficult. Oh, your boss is spawning bullets in circles, walls, and spiral formations. Arena 2000. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I did play your game yesterday, yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, end of the day is not great for me either, which is why I mean, not having a full-time job is great in the sense that I can spend my mornings working like I'm doing right now, but not so great in the fact that money is tight, but that's all right. Do you apply status effects with composition? Kind of, yeah. Each status effect is its own node. So I guess you could say it's composition. It's basically its own little self-contained thing. So if I add the fire status node to an entity, that fire status node contains all the logic within itself to deal the damage and to spawn the effects and everything. So it's kind of the same thing, yeah. I've been using ChatGPT to help me design and make decisions about my game. Yeah, I think ChatGPT is a great tool for like rubber ducking or getting inspiration. Actually, I used ChatGPT to help brainstorm the name for this game when I was trying to come up with a name. And it didn't recommend the name Gunforged to me, but when I saw like the list of 20 names or whatever, that inspired me to like use to make the name Gunforged. So I definitely think it's a good tool for like a sounding board, basically. Yeah, for sure, Jesse. Yeah, I don't want people to buy my course and then be disappointed that it's not what they're looking for. You know, I want everyone that buys the course to be happy with their purchase. And that's not entirely selfless. It's like I don't want my course rating to suffer because people are getting the course that they don't want, right? But I also don't like I don't feel good about taking money from people. Like just monomaniacally focus on like, I need to sell as many copies as the course as possible. It's like, I don't know. Doesn't seem like the right way to do things. All right. See you later, Soulfire. Thanks for joining. When will you update the demo, please, soon? Well, I want to have the demo updated. The reason I'm working on this Lowrider Spider boss right now is in service of getting the demo ready to go, because I want the demo to be like the full experience with the first level, with some stuff gated, like you're not going to be able to do the meta upgrades and whatnot in the demo, but I want you to be able to experience like the full game basically in the first level, which means I need to finish the boss and everything. So oops. Oh, that's good to hear. I'm also using standalone nodes for status effects in my game, and it felt hacky. No, if it works, it works, you know? I think the nice thing about using standalone nodes is that you can hook into all the signals and stuff that happen, which is great, especially for status effects, for listening for various events and whatnot. At this point, you're making more money from your courses than your games. Yes, by a long shot. The courses are basically the things that are keeping me afloat right now. I'm hoping to change that to some extent with the release of Gunforged and then the game that I have planned after Gunforged. But yeah, certainly the majority of my income now is coming from the courses. But like I said, I'm working toward changing that. I mean, I don't want to make the courses irrelevant, obviously, but the plan is to have a whole host of digital products that people can buy according to their interest to support me. And of course, the nice thing about making a game is that, you know, Steam will handle that marketing for me, and it reaches an entirely different audience than the people who are interested in buying my courses. So basically trying to extend, you know, just thinking in terms of marketing, trying to extend the audience that can buy my products by offering a wider variety of products, right? So offering games for people who are just playing games and don't have any interest in development, and then offering the courses for people who are interested in development. And then of course there's going to be some overlap there too. But then there are people who are just like supporters of the channel. They may not be interested in courses or games, and they may just want to financially support me. And so giving them options to just go and buy something on another platform is a great thing to offer too. So I guess that's a little bit of inside baseball into how I'm thinking about it. But yeah, basically creating like a little digital storefront for myself, you know? Okay, so let's see if this is working. Okay, that's kind of cool. I think the bullets are just going to work better, honestly. I might make them a different shape. We'll work on the tween a little bit as well. Let's change that tween up. What happens if I use a sign instead of quart? Is that going to look better? Yeah, honestly, Drew, that was I wanted to do that. Like my C# course, what I originally wanted to do is turn that C# course game into a full game on Steam and then just like double market it, right? Say like, hey, you can buy the fuller version of the game here, and also if you want to learn how to make the game, here's the course. But I did not have time to do that, so. I don't like that easing there either. I think I'm going to have to maybe not start the flame interval timer. Maybe not start it immediately, I'm not sure. Make the bullet spider shaped. Ooh, I could do that. I could definitely do that. Are you going to have a publisher for Gunforged? I am not, I don't think. I thought about doing that at one point during the development of Gunforged, but I don't really see a reason to. The circle transition type is my go-to one. Oh, you mean for changing the scene? All right, I'm gonna commit. Well, actually, yeah, I'm gonna commit what I have real quick. So commit that, and then I'm gonna actually delete the lowrider flames here because I don't think that's gonna work. But I did save that in its own little commit, so if I ever wanted to resurrect those, I can. Oh, for the tweens, right, the circle transition type. Gotcha. Should see about reaching out to the guy that helped market Animal Well. He's a marketing guru in, like, pixel games. I might do that. Thanks for the suggestion. Yeah, I think, you know, I would probably work with a publisher if I was really, like, strapped for cash and I really needed some kind of, like, life raft and I could get some kind of payment up front for working on the game. It's a trade-off, right? Like, you're essentially going to sacrifice a lot of the own profits you can make for a little bit more security. I mean, that's kind of what happens when you enter into a deal with anyone, right? Like if you go and work full-time at a job, you're sort of sacrificing the ability to make lots and lots of money for the ability to make a much smaller amount of money, but consistently and reliably, right? And that's kind of the deal with publishers is like publishers get more of the upside if your game is really successful, but you get more of the security in the form of like guaranteed amounts of money and also being able to outsource or offload all the kinds of marketing and stuff like that. So, you know, working with a publisher, if I was in a little bit of a different situation, that might be a very attractive option. But I'm kind of figuring I'll just take all of the upside, you know. I'm hoping that the game doesn't flop and that it sells a decent amount of copies, but the risk is that it may not. And if I don't work with a publisher, then I don't get that upfront payment and all that stuff. So a lot of financial considerations, but I'm sort of betting on Gunforged selling decently well, not like huge levels, but enough to be worth it. So hello, Issei. I hope I said your name correctly. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Unfortunately, I am actually just about to hop off the stream. So yeah, before I hop off though, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. In the meanwhile, while any remaining questions are coming in, I want to once again call out, I've got my Udemy courses. They're the main source of income, as I mentioned, for me right now, as I try to make it as a full-time indie game developer. But also, they're great courses in my opinion. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but you'll learn how to make a game in Godot using either C# or GDScript. I have got 3 courses you can choose from. So please check those out. Also wishlist Gunforged, which is the game that I'm working on right now, to be notified when that goes live. And also, so you can keep tabs on when the demo is updated, which should happen hopefully within the next month or so, but we'll see. So yeah, I appreciate any and all of your support. Even just liking the video and subscribing is a huge way to support me. So having the audience from the courses will help you. Go get the courses, folks. They're great. You heard Drew, everyone. You heard him. So I bought both the Survivors and C# Puzzle Udemy courses. Thank you. I appreciate that, Christopher. That helps me out a lot. Okay, well, if there are no other final questions, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, check out the links in the description below. And I will not be streaming tomorrow, but might be streaming on Friday. So make sure to hit that notification bell to be notified when I'm live. And I'll see you all in the next one. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.